All right, here's an example for a football that has been kicked and then it is stopped by a defense player at 6 feet from the point of impact. The height of the punted football is f of x in feet can be modeled by this quadratic function. So this is our x-axis, represent how far the ball has been kicked. The y-axis is the height of the ball. So question A, what is the maximum height of the punt and how far from the point of impact does this occur? So what we're looking for is the vertex point. So we're going to use this quadratic function. We're going to identify the A value, the B value, and we're going to use this equation, x equals opposite of B over 2A. We're going to substitute in the A and the B. And then plug it into our calculator and we'll get 59. So what does that represent? That represents the x-axis, distance, and then to find the y, we're going to evaluate that function for f of 59 into the function. Substitute in your calculator and you get 36.81. This will represent our y-axis value. So to finish up this problem, what is the maximum height? The maximum height that this ball will go is 36.81 feet. And how far from that point? That distance will be 59 feet. So this is your vertex point, your maximum. Part B, it says how far must the defenseman player who is 6 feet from the kicker's point of impact reach to block the punt? So here is our person that is 6 feet tall. And what we're looking for is evaluating the function when x is 6 feet. Then we would simplify it and using our calculator, we would get 8.72. So that defense player must reach 8.72 feet above the ground to block the punt. Question C. If the ball is not blocked by the defense player, how far down the field will it go before hitting the ground? So it's going to be kicked, and we're looking for that x-intercept. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to set the function equal to 0 and solve it for x. We try to factor it first, and if we can't factor it, we're going to use the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This is our a, this is our b, and that is our c. So we're going to go ahead and substitute it in. Now, notice this plus or minus is going to give us two answers. One will be a negative. That's not going to hold true. We want the one that's going to be the positive. So when we plug it into our calculator, we need to make sure it's a positive answer. So now let's say we go through and plug it into our calculator. We're going to get negative 1.7 and 119.7. Well, this one's not going to be true. So how far down will it be? The distance will be 119.7 feet will be the distance that this ball will go from the kicker. Part D says graph the function that models this. We want you to be using your graphing calculator. We're going to be looking for you to label the x-axis with what it represents. With the appropriate unit of measure. Labeling the units on the x-axis. So let's say we do 10 feet increments. Same thing on the y-axis. Labeling what it represents. Football's height. Unit of measure, feet. Labeling your increments. Then we want you to identify some important points. So let's say we graphed it out. We want you to label the x-intercept. We want you to label the vertex. We want you to label that y-intercept. When you graph your function.